We are 2 weeks away from the NFL trade deadline, and as that deadline approaches, it feels like there is just more and more buzz that arises from all across the National Football League. Today, we're talking about Dianna Russini, Ian Rapoport, and the articles they've released over the past couple of days that has a ton of trade nuggets that you need to know for the Baltimore Ravens. Up first, we're giving you what Ian Rapoport had to say on what Eric DeCosta is up to. He's got some great intel on what the Ravens general manager is doing behind the scenes. After that, Dianna Russini hears from some pretty high-up executives that the Baltimore Ravens need to do this to fix their 2025 season. And then coming up last, we're going to talk about available players on the trade block that I think the Baltimore Ravens should trade for. Before we get into any of that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed. A lot of you think you are, but you might not be, so make sure to check because we are closing in on 40,000 subscribers. Are you kidding me? We're growing like crazy, and we're not going to stop anytime soon. We are 397, not 357 away. So subscribe to us, not for our ability to do math, but our ability to give you daily content for 100% free. The NFL trade deadline, like we talked about right off the top, it is officially 2 weeks away. Tuesday, November 4th, 4 p.m. Eastern time will be the deadline. And obviously, as we get closer, there's just less time for things to happen. You got to think something's going to happen soon. Ian Rapoport sure thinks it does. The Ravens have been calling around the league for defensive help, which makes sense given general manager Eric DeCosta's trade-happy ways and their laundry list of injuries. And this is a big relief, to be honest, to know officially from Ian Rapoport, a guy who's got more sources among the National Football League than even a guy like Adam Schefter, that Eric DeCosta and the Ravens are calling around for defensive help. I always kind of assumed that they were calling, but I was never 100% sure. It felt like they were. It felt like they should have been, but you just never know. You can only hear John Harbaugh say, yeah, we like our guys so many times before you start to believe it that, hey, even in a 1-5 start, they may still like their guys even though pretty much nobody else that's in this fan base really does. And they've given us a pretty easy reason to not like what they've been putting out because if you look at the defensive stats, 32.3 points per game, dead last in the National Football League. Yards per game, third worst. Rushing yards per game, still a bottom 10 unit. Pass yards per game, bottom 5 unit. They laid up 23 touchdowns, which is bottom 3 in the National Football League. So, yeah, they should be calling around for some defensive help. Stick around, though, okay, because Ian Rapoport and Dianna Russini mentioned players specifically they believe are available. I'm going to tell you which ones those are, and I'll tell you which ones, if I were Eric DeCosta, I'd get the phone and trade for. Be honest with me, though. Do you think the Ravens will make another trade? They've already traded Oweh for Alohi Gilman. Do you think they'll make another one? Go ahead and give me a yes or a no in the comment section down below. All right, let's get to Dianna Russini. She released an article with The Athletic this weekend. She's talked to numerous sources among the National Football League, and a lot of people believe that the Baltimore Ravens need to do this one thing that might just fix their season. One league executive told me bluntly, Baltimore needs to bring back Dean Pease. The 76-year-old defensive mastermind came out of retirement last season to steady the ship. And even Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin credited Pease for helping turn Baltimore's defense around. There was progress last week. Baltimore's coming off their best performance of the season, holding the Rams to just 17 points and 241 yards. Maybe that's something they could build on heading into their bye. Pease can't fix it all and may still be sharing his opinions and thoughts with team leaders, but getting him back couldn't hurt. And there's a very common misconception that I've seen all across social media. A lot of Ravens fans believe that Dean Pease is still in the building every single day, which, regardless if he should be or not, he isn't. And if you don't believe me, believe the lead insider for the Baltimore Ravens with The Athletic, Jeff Zrebiec. He was asked this exact same question a couple weeks ago. A guy named Jacoby said, did Pease roles change that he's been involved in? I feel like I missed something. Jeff Zrebiec then said he backed off from a daily role this season, has not been in the building much. And to get him back in the building, I don't necessarily think that would hurt that much. Now, do I think it would help a ton? My answer there is probably no. I get what you're saying. You saw the improvement in 2024. Okay, he got brought back about week 6. 4 weeks later, this team rounded out their season playing as one of the best defensive units in football. You look at their improvement from weeks 1 through 10 to weeks 11 through 18. They got vastly better in every single metric, right? That's phenomenal. But I think that was a lot on the fact of, engage, you can send me full screen here for just a second. I think that was a lot on the fact of not necessarily Dean Pease and his schematics he brought, but I think a lot of that was just not playing Marcus Williams and playing Kyle Hamilton in a position where he could be a little bit more impactful on a down-to-down role. But let's talk about bringing Dean Pease back, okay? I believe we have to ask ourselves this question. How much help does Zach Orr need? Pagano was hired in the offseason. Now everybody is clamoring to bring Dean Pease back into the fold. Is there another defensive coordinator in the National Football League that needs this many pieces around him? Am I missing something? Or are there other defensive coordinators across the National Football League that people are saying, you know what, they'd be a lot better if they just surrounded this guy with more talent, defensive coaching-wise? Like, what am I missing? Zach Orr is your defensive coordinator. Is he not the one that should be figuring this all out? And I'm not saying we should stop suggesting these things. I just think we should think about keeping a defensive coordinator on the payroll that we have to surround with a guy like Chuck Pagano or Dean Pease to see any sort of success. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm done with the Zach Orr experiment. No other defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, any coach in the National Football League history has ever succeeded because, or has ever truly reached their full potential if they just got surrounded with a bunch more old guys. Dean Pease isn't going to fix Zach Orr. Chuck Pagano isn't going to fix Zach Orr. If Zach Orr was the guy, you wouldn't need those guys. You wouldn't. And I don't want to hear that he's young. I don't want to hear that he's new. That's just how it is. That's just what it is. You make the call for me. Would you fire or keep Zach Orr? What would you do? Type K for keep, type F for fire. Let me know down below. I got to tell you real quickly about our awesome sponsor on today's video. It's the reason you're watching this video right now, and also could be the reason you win some money this weekend. I'm talking about our friends at PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day. But on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. Follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely hate Texas A&M. And I absolutely hate Texas. So with my prize picks for Saturday's slate of college football, I want to get a little bit pessimistic. Give me the less on Marcel Reed pass yards. Go ahead and give me the less on Arch Manning pass yards, 220.5. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, we talked to you a ton about who's on the trade block. We talked to you a ton about what executives are saying the Baltimore Ravens need to do. Let me tell you of who's available I think would be the best options for Baltimore, okay? Ian Rapoport came out and said that, or excuse me, this is Dianna Russini, came out and said the Dolphins are getting lots of calls on pass rushers Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, which I think is a really, really, really neat thing. And she also went and said, talking about the Jets, that the Jets are already getting calls on defensive end Jermaine Johnson and running back Breece Hall. They're making calls for a kick returner. So we know that there are a couple of different players that are drawing attention from around the league from Dianna Russini. Those three ones that I just mentioned are doing exactly that, and they're at three guys at one position of need for the Baltimore Ravens, all edge rushers. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Jermaine Johnson. If you look at all those three guys compared, in my opinion, there's one that stands out over the bunch, okay? Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, both of them having good seasons. Bradley Chubb, 4 sacks, 20 tackles, 19 quarterback pressures. Jalen Phillips, 19 tackles, 2 sacks, 22 quarterback pressures. Jermaine Johnson, probably the least of the bunch, with 15 tackles, 1 sack, and 11 quarterback pressures. I think I'm most interested in Jalen Phillips just because I think he'd cost you less than Bradley Chubb does, both in actual price cost and cost for a trade. And I still think that he would be a wonderful, wonderful addition to this team because we all know that they need help in the edge rusher room. Rapoport also reiterated that Jeffrey Simmons is not available, which we talked about this last weekend. That just kind of sucks to me, and I get it. If you're Tennessee, you don't want to let him go, and they're doing just that. Rapoport said Simmons, still just 28 years old and with 2 years remaining on his contract after 2025, is likely looking at a massive contract extension this offseason in Tennessee as he is among the pieces to build around the future, along with rookie quarterback Cam Ward and some others. Look, it was a pipe dream. Jeffrey Simmons was one of the guys I wanted the most, not just because of his production, not just because of how good he's been this year, but just because I think the attitude he would have brought to this team would be unbelievable. He's tough. He's physical. He's got that dog mentality, and I just think that team needs this right now. So we told you who's drawing attention from Dianna Russini. Here's who's drawing attention across the league from Ian Rapoport: Draymond Jones, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Jermaine Johnson. They are in agreement with those three, and Anthony Jennings. If you got me either Dolphin edge rusher, Phillips, Chubb, I'd be all over it. I'd be super excited. The other three guys, I don't think it would pump me up near as much. Who do you think the Ravens should trade for? You let me know in the comment section down below. Drop a name for me right now. That's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you guys got me followed on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you had me on Twitter, that little rant I went on about Zach Orr and Dean Pease and Chuck Pagano, I already put that on social media, so you would have got a little sneak peek into today's video. Regardless, make sure you subscribe right here to the Ravens Rundown.